My goal for the day is to go down to town, go to the SSCC or CCSS office and apply for CAJA. I've never been part of it, so this will be the first time they have my records, and I hope I got all the paperwork right. We'll find out. Like I've mentioned before, paperwork here can be a bit weird. I was down there earlier last week just trying to find out what paperwork I actually needed, and well, I came back, sorted it all out, and now we find out if I did it correctly. Fingers crossed. Come with me to find out if I have to wait 45 minutes for a bus or 3 hours. Wish me luck. CAJA refers to the Caja Costarricense de Seguro Social, which is Costa Rica's public health care system. It is 100% universal health care and even covers some things that other healthcare systems don't. There is no deductibles, there is no co-pays, none of that. It's just 100% free healthcare for everyone. And all employed Costa Ricans must be enrolled. This system is much more comprehensive than the Canadian healthcare system that I'm most familiar with. Costa Ricans get eye care, dental care, and even medical prescriptions as long as the medication is of the generic brand for free. The main downsides are that, well, like the current Canadian system and the UK system, the wait lines are quite long. So if you have an emergency, if it's not immediately life-threatening, you will be waiting 4+ hours in an emergency room. And of course, if you want to see a specialist, well, there's a wait list that can be 12 months or more. From my experience in Canada, it's exactly the same there. So for my American viewers out there, there's none of this insurance company claiming that, oh no, your cancer isn't severe enough for us to operate yet, so we'll wait till it is. Nonsense that you get in the United States. It is much more like the Canadian system that once a problem is spotted, it will be taken care of. And that is something that I really like about this country. I don't want to live somewhere where people die every day of preventable diseases just because their health insurance expired or they didn't have the money to pay for it, or worst of all, they were denied coverage for whatever silly reason a CEO came up with. Just like any healthcare, it's not actually free, it's just paid for by everyone in smaller amounts. In Costa Rica, it's done through your declared income. This means that anyone who earns more money will pay more into the system, and those who earn less money will pay less into the system. Either way, everyone is covered and everyone is able to access medical care when needed. Everyone's rate is different, so you can't just Google how much will I be paying. No, it varies. Whether you're married, whether you have kids, all of these things affect how much you'll be paying every month. And all of these things are determined by the office where you enroll. All right, so I just got back and, well, it's been a long couple of hours. Turns out that I did get my paperwork correct. It was just a little stressful for me because I'm working as an independent contractor for a platform for teaching online, and they don't exactly have all the documents that would be expected. So I had to take screenshots and explain it in person. Luckily, they accepted it all. It took almost 2 hours of just sitting there twiddling my thumbs, but the poor guy had a lot of work to do. I even got pulled aside into one of the side offices to have a chat with the manager because, well, they do tend to do an interview with you just to find out what is going on, why are you signing up so late in life. And, well, like I told her, I'm a new non-immigrant whatever I am. And I was never part of CAJA because I left when I was 5, and children don't have to pay CAJA. That's covered by the government. And so I told her, well, my intention for signing up for CAJA is to come here and stay here. The reason I've come back is that I've decided to leave Canada behind and to move here. And part of that is registering for CAJA, because that's every citizen's right, if not necessity. Like, the government requires it. And, well, it's the national insurance for everything. So it covers things like maternity, it covers dental work, it covers obviously all your doctor's visits, and it even covers your retirement as of, I believe, 2022. So for me, unfortunately, I have to pay a slightly higher premium, but fair enough. I was not sure how it worked. I knew that it was employment-based. So I showed what I was making, and what I'm making is below full-time minimum wage work here. So I was still being charged the minimum wage full-time minimum premium just because that's the way it works. But on top of that, turns out that if you have a university degree, they charge you a little bit more as well. And I do have a university degree. I have a bachelor's, so naturally I got charged a bit more. So I think I'm paying like 66,000 colones per month these days, and it looks like the first 5 days of every month I have to pay it, and it's a reoccurring fee. Turns out you cannot be removed from the CAJA system. You can put it on pause, say if you move internationally, but you cannot be removed, which that makes sense to me. And yeah, I look forward to learning more about it and seeing how the system actually works. Next job for me is figuring out what the hacienda, or the tax office, is, because I've only ever visited. I've never had to deal with taxes here, and my employer is international. They're not subtracting any taxes from me, and I don't think I have to file for taxes in Canada. We'll find out. With all of this out of the way, we did a quick trip to San Carlos to scout out a potential housing situation, which you'll just have to wait to hear about. In the meantime, enjoy this video of Colin, a 6-foot man, sitting in a bus designed for, presumably, children. On Thursday, we nearly got washed off the side of the mountain because of this intense thunderstorm that just rolled right on through. It lasted 2 to 4 hours. Honestly, it depends if you count it as one storm or 2 consecutive ones. And it was intense. Water got in everywhere. It was coming in sideways right through the windows, even though we'd closed them, and it was quite the experience. Our Canadian prairie lives hadn't prepared us for something like this, and frankly, the times I have been to Costa Rica has always been in the dry season, so it's very rare that I saw any sort of thunderstorm while here. Luckily, the only victim was our internet cable that connected our Airbnb house to the main house, so that had to be reattached. Luckily, that was the worst of it. Finally, we wrapped up our week by going on another adventure to El Chayote Forest Reserve. Many decades ago, Costa Rica passed a law that protected the springs in the mountains that produce the water that eventually flows into the rivers in the valleys where the people live. All of these farms that lived up the mountains had been polluting those little rivers and obviously leading to the people downstream getting sick. So the government took over and purchased a lot of these properties where the springs originated from the mountain. And they also declared that the areas around the stream that head down the mountain are also protected. So there are certain things you cannot do if you own property anywhere near those streams. El Chayote is one of those reserves with over 600 hectares of special protected space. And of course, we wanted to go check it out. It appeared on a map, so why not? Unfortunately, by this time, we had returned our rental car. So we tied up our hiking boots and started the long 4-kilometer walk to the reserve itself. Now, this reserve is not really meant for tourism or for hiking, really. There is a road that kind of cuts around the boundary of it, and that was labeled as a sort of hiking trail. And we thought, well, let's go check it out. The road up to the reserve was actually pretty interesting. It was a gravel and dirt road that passed a lot of isolated farmhouses. But even though they appear isolated, they're not really that far from civilization. They're just a short 5-minute gravel road drive down from a paved road that will connect you to the biggest cities in the country. So even though they look and feel remote, and especially sound remote because there's no traffic up there, they really aren't all that far from schools and shopping centers where you can go get your groceries. Luckily, the road was in pretty good condition, so we didn't have any trouble making it up to El Chayote. And once we got there, well, we were kind of surprised by what we saw. When we actually made it to the El Chayote Reserve, we started off on a nice big wide road that had turned into a trail. So it was a little overgrown with grass. That road was nice and wide, had some muddy holes in it, but otherwise it was nice. Unfortunately, that trail only lasted for a little bit when, after a small curve, we rounded the corner and discovered that the trail narrowed significantly. And it became a kind of unused or overused mountain bike trail where the bikes going through had caused a significant amount of erosion that then the water poured down through, creating like full-on gouges in this path that were over a foot deep in places and sometimes arguably over a meter deep in others. So it was quite a tricky walk, but we did have a good time following up this trail, and that kept going up and up and up. But it was so much fun that you weren't really noticing that you were still going up a mountain. We followed the trail right up until it started to curve, because that's where we realized it was beginning to rain and it was getting dark. We were not prepared for an overnight stay in the mountains, or much less a muddy, rainy stay or muddy, rainy hike down the mountain. So that's when we turned around. But taking a good look at it on Google Earth, this trail will eventually go around the mountain and take you all the way down to some other gravel road and some small village on the other side. That would have been a very long 45-minute Uber back home, so it's arguably very good that we didn't do it, but it was interesting to see. I enjoyed this hike, despite its unconventional nature. And our walk down the mountain reminded me that, yeah, these houses here on the gravel road were pretty great, and I could see myself settling down in a similar area. Let me know if you have any questions about our adventures so far in the comments down below. I'll be happy to answer them. Next video will cover our trip to Paso Canoas to get my husband's fingerprints, and I will once again face off with my nemesis, the hot beachside climate. Like and subscribe if you want to follow along. See you in the next video.